Hello and welcome to the Rob Burgess Show. I am of course your host Rob Burgess. On this, our 109th episode, our returning guest is Jonathan Fowler. You first heard Jonathan Fowler on episodes 2, 10, 20, 21, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34, 35, 43, 48, 51, 56, 64, 74, 83, 92, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, and episode 82, which also featured regular guest Ash Burgess of the podcast. Jonathan graduated with a BA in history from Indiana University in 2006. He's an unabashed left-wing political junkie. He has lived and worked in South Korea for over 10 years, trying to help the citizens of that great nation, hopefully, talk pretty one day. If you listened to the last 3 episodes, you heard us talk about the first 9 episodes of The Wire. On this episode, we'll be discussing up through episode 4 of season 2, so consider this your blanket spoiler alert. And now on to the show.
Hello.
Hey, Ja.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, Bob?
Oh, pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, doing okay. Got the day off tomorrow because it's Korean Memorial Day here, so.
Oh, well. Is there a greeting I should say for that?
I don't know that there's a special greeting for this holiday.
Okay. Let me see. So is that like the equivalent of our Memorial Day? Is there any difference?
I'm not actually sure. Korea has a lot of, they have a lot of holidays around, what can we say, like military victories or peaces or ends of wars or ends of occupations, Independence Days, like national, I don't know, there are a lot of holidays like that. So, yeah, there are multiple ones.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's coming up tomorrow. And actually next Wednesday is off too because it's local election day.
Oh, really? Okay. What kind of elections we got going on? I know we already had the presidential one, right? So it's probably like local stuff, I assume?
Yeah, pretty much local. But it's kind of annoying because all last week they've had these bongo vans that have been outfitted with, like, on the back part is kind of a stage with loudspeakers and stuff, and they go set up in a neighborhood and they just broadcast. And either the candidate gives a speech or some of his supporters give a speech, and people dance and stuff to songs that have been kind of like re-recorded as campaign songs and stuff. It's interesting. It's charming. It's kind of, quaint in a way, but it's really annoying because it's right outside of the school that I teach at. So, and it goes from about 8 a.m. until about 8 or 9 p.m. So it's an all-day affair.
I see.
It's in most neighborhoods. So
it's kind of like old-timey electioneering type stuff?
Well, I don't even know if we had anything quite like this in America. I mean, I don't know. It's these bongo trucks and stuff. I don't know. It's uniquely Korean in some ways, although, we don't know much about old campaigning in America, so.
Yeah, true. I'm just basing what I've seen on, like, Back to the Future and stuff, but...
I haven't seen that since I was at least in middle school. So
oh, yeah,
go back and rewatch it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just reading a New Yorker article about the rap battle between Drake and Pusha T. Is that right? Mm-hmm. One of the Clips guys. Yeah,
it's gotten pretty heated. What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't heard any of the songs, but I really want to hear them now. Rap beef songs can be some great songs sometimes.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I was reading a kind of an explainer from the Washington Post about it, and they were talking about how this goes all the way back to the early 2000s because Clips, of course, was heavy into rapping about selling drugs and selling and wearing designer clothes and stuff, and they felt that Lil Wayne was kind of copying their style. And I don't know if you remember that Clips song, Mr. Me Too. I believe it was produced by Pharrell.
Are they talking about Woody Allen?
Mr. Me Too. Oh no, no. This was long before that had that meaning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, that's funny though.
I can't tell if I'm too with it or if I'm not with it.
No, this was like 2003 or something. But anyway, they were basically accusing Lil Wayne of copying them, their style and everything. Anyhow, Drake is or was signed to Cash Money, so I think the beef kind of transferred over to him when he joined up with them. So anyway, this has been kind of a years-long running beef, and when I guess Drake has said that his brother or his cousin, Pusha T's cousin Malice, who now goes by No Malice, and actually is a Christian rapper, left the rap game entirely. That's why Clips is no longer a thing. Yeah, so he basically just put a no in front of Malice, and now he does like Christian rap. So that's kind of an interesting turn for him. But anyway, Pusha T kept on with his path. He's now the president of Kanye West's Good Music, and he, I guess, just released an album. Anyway, so I guess Drake has accused Pusha T of just using someone else's life story for his own raps, as far as selling drugs and doing all these things he's rapping about. And then it was kind of a tame diss, and in the past, Pusha T has said some things about Drake and using ghostwriters, not actually writing his own rhymes. But when Pusha T came back with his song, because Drake's song was called Duppy Freestyle, and then Pusha T's was Story of Adidon, and apparently Adidon, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is Drake's outside of marriage child with a French porn star who he may or may not acknowledge, or may have told her to get an abortion before it was born. Anyway, he came back with some pretty harsh rhymes. Also accused him of not being black enough. Found an old picture of Drake in blackface for the cover of that song, which apparently is a real photo. So now I'm hearing that Drake actually does take care of the kid, but it's just either not making a big deal out of it. And he was saying that photo was from something like fighting racism. So who knows? But yeah, it's gotten pretty ugly pretty fast. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, from what I gleaned in the New Yorker article, his son is named Adonis, or his alleged son, or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And he has kind of like, and apparently Pusha T found out that he was planning to kind of like release the news of the son this summer or something. Something to do with like an Adidas promo or something, and so it was kind of a combination of Adonis and Adidas or something.
Oh, okay. So his name is not his name is Adonis. Got it. Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on exactly. It's but I don't know. I've not been the biggest Drake fan, I guess we could say. Like he's, I don't know. I mean, I liked him on Aston Martin. What do you call that? The one with Rick Ross or whatever.
Oh, Aston Martin Music.
Yeah, I love that song. Mm-hmm. But like pretty much everything else he's done since then has been kind of unimpressive, I think.
You weren't into Hotline Bling or any of that?
No, not really. So that's something. I don't know, Clips, man, back in like 2003, 2004 and stuff, they were wild, like.
Oh yeah.
Time.
Well, that whole album, Lord Wellin, their first album, was just great. Produced by the Neptunes, had that, of course, eternal song "Grindin'."
Yeah, that's the song I've got stuck in my head tonight after reading this article. Yeah, that was a song.
Oh yeah, that's one for the books. Yeah, and it had a couple others on that album. I have to look and see what else there was. But yeah, there was some timeless songs on that album. So yeah, I was a big Clips fan too back in the day.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing that the guys decided to become a explicitly Christian rapper. I mean, a lot of rappers are Christian, but once you make that your main thing.
I think, one of their close, I can't remember if it was their manager or somebody very close to them went to jail for like 30 years for distributing cocaine or something. So I think that kind of, it all came tumbling down kind of right after that, because I think he kind of got maybe scared straight or something. So.
Okay, yeah. When you've got a song like "Grindin',"
yep.
Yeah, you probably don't want to be closely associated with people who are actually.
We're gonna hop right out of that.
Yeah. How about new song? This one is, see if this one does anything for you. It's going to be called Not Grinding. How about that?
We're grinding for Jesus.
Yep. I'm trying to think, who was the guy from the 90s? Kind of an R&B guy, but he turned into a Christian rapper guy too.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. What was his name? No, it wasn't the Return of the Mac guy, but it was like one of those songs. It was
Martin Morrison or something.
Yeah. No, it wasn't him. But I know who you're talking
kind of
about.
In the R. Kelly vein at that point. Mace.
Mace. Yeah. Yeah, he came back though. I believe that was a short-lived thing. He was a preacher for a while, and then there was a song in like the mid 2000s where P. Diddy produced. It was called "Welcome Back." So I guess it was like "Welcome Back to Satan." I guess. Yeah. Exactly.
I think Mace's like runaway, all-time hit for me. It was, I think it's like "I Need to Be" or something like that. It's called. Have you heard that one? Do you know that one? It was
no.
It was pretty big. I think it was like around when we were freshmen in college and stuff. It was a good song. Yeah, it was a just incredible beat, incredible track, and everything. Pretty good rapping. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it's interesting to see what'll happen with this. But like, that Work song by Rihanna, like I think that's an outstanding song, great song. She does a good job on it and stuff with the patois or whatever, how the hell you call it, like the kind of the whatever she's doing there. But then like, Drake comes on the track and I'm just like, oh fuck, his rapping is terrible on that thing. It's just like his lines are just so terrible. And to be fair to him, what the hell are you supposed to do when you've got somebody from like the Caribbean islands or something who's doing her own damn thing that there's no way you can go there.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Well, I mean, you're Canadian, bro. I mean, come on. Like,
I mean, he was even on what TV show was he on? Degrassi. Yeah, he was on Degrassi. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And even the thing with the blackface and the Jim Crow shirt or whatever in the photo, it's like, once again, bro, you're Canadian. I know you're half black and stuff, but like, this was an American institution as I understand it. This kind of stuff. So to claim part of that cultural heritage, which is, explicitly an African-American thing, as far as I understand. I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they had the minstrel stuff up in Canada, but I sincerely doubt it. But I don't know,
Side note, Montel Jordan was the person I was thinking of before. This is how we do it.
Really?
Yeah,
Man.
He became a Christian artist after his success kind of faded. It's always after everything comes crashing down. They're like, you know what, Jesus? Gonna give you a second look.
I think that's the final nail in the coffin, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Or nail on the cross.
Yeah, very good. Flip it back around, sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, no, Montel Jordan, I really like that song.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
That's how we do it. That was a smooth song. 90s, boy, stuff that was going on in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff. Not to denigrate what's going on now, because I'm sure there is good rap out there and there's good stuff. I mean, but I don't know. That stuff was a time and a place. So.
Yeah. I think I've officially entered the old man get off my lawn thing with the music today. I've just totally lost track of it. I just hear this mumble rap, and I don't know if you've heard this Post Malone stuff. I just can't get into it. I don't know.
I don't think I have. But I mean, like. Okay, I'm gonna be honest and admit to a guilty pleasure, a relatively modern guilty pleasure, which was "Lifestyle" by Quan or something. What was his name?
Big Homie Quan.
Yeah.
Or Rich Homie
Lifestyle.
Quan. Rich Homie Quan. Excuse me.
Rich Homie Quan. Yeah, that sounds right. Are you familiar with the song "Lifestyle"?
I'm sure I am. It sounds. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I love it.
What does it sound like? What's the?
I don't know. My lifestyle.
I think I know that one. Yeah, it's coming to me.
Sing.
Yeah.
And he just like mumbles through all the lines and stuff, and it's oh my god, it's epically horrible, but it's also catchy and I don't know, there's something appealing about it in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
Guilty pleasure, but I like it.
Right. Well, yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. No, it's funny. There was somebody that did like kind of a perfect encapsulation, like a parody of today's rap. Is somebody like did a, that Dr. Seuss book, "Walk It in My Pocket." They basically just rapped "Walk It." They just rapped the whole Dr. Seuss book in the style of like this, like mumble rap, thing, and it was pretty incredible. So it's just like this is what passes for like bars these days. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, I'm not familiar with mumble rap too much beyond like Rich Homie Quan, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, do you think? What about the Whisper song? Do you think that's kind of like the origins of it?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and that whole like snap music thing that probably was the genesis of it. I think honestly, if you want to go back to it, bring it back to Kanye. I think that album he had where it was 808s and Heartbreak, I think that may have set the stage for a lot of this stuff too. Most of Drake's career, I think, also kind of sprung from that era. So
yeah. Okay. Well, again, I'm in old man territory. I'm not up on all the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. I'm outside the country, so I don't even get the radio really. But
right.
Oh, by the way, like everybody in Korea is freaking out because BTS has been on the #1 on the Billboard charts or something. Are you familiar with whatever song they've got?
No. I've been reading about how K-pop's starting to take over, but I don't think I know this song that they're talking about yet.
I've been reading about how K-pop is taking over since 2007. Okay, and it hasn't happened yet. So. Yeah, it's always this thing that's just on the verge of just crossing that critical threshold.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, didn't they have like some like the Wonder Girls? Didn't they have like a reality TV show for a while on MTV or something? How they were trying to like break in or something. So.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I didn't see it, but yeah, the Wonder Girls tried to cross over. Sonya did. Girls' Generation tried to cross over.
Yep.
I think
there's a constituency for it. Yeah, I mean, there are people that like it. I wouldn't say it's taking over by any stretch of the imagination, other than maybe Gangnam Style. But I feel like that was kind of more of a one-off.
Oh, Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style, excuse me. Yeah.
I mean, that was, my God. Somebody was saying, yes, K-pop is getting better and better every day because Gangnam Style. I was like, dude. Gangnam Style was 2012.
That was a long time ago.
It's like 6 years ago, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I can't believe, but it's true. So.
Totally.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like time is flying and stuff. The older you get.
For sure.
But I'm just curious because, like they say, it's the #1 on the Billboard charts or whatever. And to me, I'm reevaluating what that means because does that mean it's being played on the radio constantly in America?
See, they've had to change all these like certifications and stuff too, and now they include like digital downloads and streamings and stuff. So I don't even know what that means anymore. I don't think it means the same thing like when we knew what that kind of stuff meant. You know what I mean? Like I think they've changed the rules, and I guess they've kind of had to because I mean people don't buy or listen to music in the same ways that they did. Back when we were, paying $20 for a Macarena mix CD or whatever. So.
Yeah. And now this is music.
Yeah, exactly.
Something, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was, man, when my fucking CDs got stolen, that was the end of the, I don't know. That was the end of music for me as far as paying for it, buying it, owning it. Etc. So,
right.
And you know what? The music industry, they got plenty of my hard-earned money before I turned 25.
Absolutely. And they,
I guess.
They gave the shaft to enough artists when they were doing well. So, I don't feel super duper bad for them at this point. I think they're figuring it out as far as like, downloads and also like licensing songs and stuff. That's kind of become more of a thing, I think, even more than it was before. So. Yeah, is Fake Love the song that we were talking about that's supposedly taking over by BTS?
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, like, they had one song called DNA, which was huge.
Okay, that looks like the single prior to that one.
Okay, they had a song called Blood, Sweat, and Tears that I hear sometimes, I think. It was kind of catchy.
Okay, yeah.
They've had a few catchy songs.
Right.
But, I don't know. The K-pop posturing is just so, rubs me the wrong way. It's just like... I don't know. Like I read some bullshit article or something on Salon or something a month ago that said Nicki Minaj has got to stop appropriating Asian culture in her video where she acts like this geisha. It's like every couple of months a K-pop artist gets busted for doing blackface on some reality show over here. And it's like, you know what? If Nicki Minaj wants to appropriate Asian culture or something, and the black people want to do, or the Asian people want to do blackface when they don't have a history of oppressing each other, I'm just a heterosexual cis-normative white male, but I say, let bygones be bygones. This is not. I don't think we need to fan the flames on this issue.
Right, absolutely.
And I do wish the Koreans would stop doing blackface.
Yeah, that is pretty embarrassing.
They're totally unaware of the minstrel show history in America.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have. But at the same time, like, all these K-pop stars, who've gone through the K-pop training machine camp thing to pretend that they're like these, to kind of pose like they're these hardcore, hip-hop rappers or something is like, it's exasperating, of course, because, it's like, it's faker than Milli Vanilli. So.
Yeah, I was just looking up BTS, and there was a story from the South China Morning Post. BTS make it to the top in the U.S. without having to pay a creative price.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they're keeping it real. all 7 of them that were created in a factory are keeping it real.
Well, supposedly BTS, to some degree or other, exists outside of the factory model.
Oh, really?
They were like produced by an independent factory.
Oh.
And so
an independent factory. Oh, good.
They're disruptors, I guess we could say, of the K-pop machine to some degree. Although I don't know what that means. Is that
just because they're not under the JYP umbrella?
The JYP or the SM, yeah, they're not one of the big ones. So I don't know if that means they were produced and managed by some, small timers who managed them to the same degree or what. But I don't know. It's I have a hard time keeping up with what's popular in Korean music and what's popular in American. I just something about getting older. You just you like the songs that they played at your middle school dances, and if something's on the radio and you like it, you listen to it, but you're not obsessing about this stuff anymore. At least I'm not. I know you've always been a little bit more into music than I have. I appreciate music. I like having it on, and there's songs I like, but I don't play it, certainly.
Sure.
But anyways, well, enough about Drake and Pusha T. But so we have officially finished the Wire. Right?
Well, hold on now. I haven't finished the entire Wire yet.
You finished season 1. So
finished season 1, and I've actually seen 4 episodes of the second season as well, if you want to talk about that. Or if you want to save that for another time, I can do that too. So
okay, we could get into that at the end a little bit maybe, but let's just maybe if we try to keep this one on the season 1, because I've been actually holding off on watching season 2 because I didn't want to start before you had started it and stuff. But if you're starting, then I'll start it tonight.
Yeah. I'm trying to push. I don't know how I'm going to make progress going forward, but I have pushed ahead a little bit. So.
Okay. By the way, how do you feel about the tonal shift as far as the shift in focus in season 2, where you're kind of really taking a step back from the West Side drug gangs and stuff in West Baltimore?
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, honestly, they broke up. I mean, I guess blanket spoiler alert as we go forward, of course. But, as we move forward, it kind of makes sense that, they kind of focused elsewhere. Because, I mean, except for Stringer Bell, it seems like most of the gang has kind of been scattered a little bit. And obviously, we've got people in jail and we've got people dead. And, they're having problems getting the product, and they're barely holding on to the towers, and it's probably appropriate that we do that. And that team that they put together for the first season, as much as they're trying to get the band back together, it looks like here in the second season to get these people at the docks, it kind of looks like they've kind of broken up the team a little bit. But yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. And obviously Stringer is kind of moving under the radar a little bit more, working out of the funeral home, as opposed to, being at the strip club on Front Street. He's kind of bringing it back a little bit, trying to get reorganized a little bit. So yeah, that's fine with me. I don't need him to stay like that. Yeah. Actually, it'd be kind of hackneyed if they just were like, oh, what's the gang getting into this year? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're like taking it in stride, because myself and actually a lot of people had kind of a letdown in the second season. Although it builds to something, and by the end of it, Frank Sabatka, I think is his name, Polish dock workers union leader guy. I mean, he goes on a journey, and for my money, he's kind of the poor man's Tony Soprano. And slightly more benevolent than Soprano, I guess. But he's this kind of connected middle-aged dude who's just trying to keep his family together and out of trouble and stuff. And he gets wrapped up in something that is, the first time I think that I watched the second season, I was kind of like, wasn't as psyched about it because it wasn't these people that I'd really come to know in the first season so well and everything. But by the end of it, it kind of grew on me, and I was, happy to go into the third season where they were going with that. But when I rewatched it the first time, I appreciated the second season a lot more because I kind of knew that, it has an arc. Every season has an arc, basically, and it has a story to tell. And this is really about kind of like, to some degree, it's about the deunionization of America since the 1980s and stuff. And just kind of the, people want to say like, oh, it was the white working class who doesn't have any prospects who voted for Trump. And it's like, I don't know, whatever. But it's like, no, this show, this season gets into that a little bit as far as, what the non-college educated white working class doing these kind of jobs that are disappearing, what their prospects are and stuff, and the things that they get into and stuff. And it's a worthy season on its own right, in its own right. So
right. Well, I heard an interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates. If you want to go back to him a little bit, they're talking about The Wire, and he was actually saying that the second season of The Wire was his favorite season of The Wire because it kind of showed that the problems and the structures that people are working in and against and with aren't just in this one area in Baltimore. It's kind of like these people. There's these groups and organizations and things that are going on that affect people of different backgrounds, and it's kind of a cross section more of different parts of the city, kind of showing you that people aren't that different, the problems that they face and the things that they're trying to do within what they're doing. So
but you were a Baltimore guy, you don't really I didn't really, did you write about The Wire?
Not too much, but
I googled it. I looked for
I wrote a few things for The Atlantic, but by the time I started writing for The Atlantic, they probably
was kind of done.
They probably were at season 4.
That was the best season. That was my
so
favorite season.
I'm about to cause a fight for everybody.
Let's have a fight right now. We can end it on this.
Season 2 is the best season of The Wire.
Oh, no!
Bar none.
Oh, my God.
It's not even a debate.
Now I feel like...
indisputably.
Now I feel like Coates with John Kelly walking in the ring. Season 2 is so not the best season.
It's the best season of The Wire.
Season 4 is the best season of TV ever.
Season 4 is not even... Season 4 the second best. Season 4 it probably is the second best season. It goes 2, 4, 1, 3, 5.
See, everybody's down on 5, and 5 has now become underrated. Because everybody gets mad about the newspaper plot. The series finale of The Wire, I will stand by and ride to the death.
The problem with 5 for me, and let's stipulate that we're talking about The Wire. Yeah. So anybody that starts with the problem with, and you're talking about The Wire.
It's a Mount Rushmore show.
Right. Let's be clear about what we're saying. I just felt like I don't know what new was said at that point. Like, I felt like they knew, and you watch McNulty tumble back. But okay, I already know who McNulty is. Right. I don't need to see him go back. I know. I got it. I got it. Like, I know. You know what I mean? And
so you thought it could have ended at 4?
Yeah,
and then done like a movie for...
Because 4, he comes back, right?
Yeah.
That shit, I didn't think that was going to end well. My mind, McNulty does not come back and they ride off into the sunset. McNulty, I know who McNulty is.
He wasn't going to be the mayor of Baltimore.
No, that wasn't going to happen at all. That wasn't going to happen. Maybe you're right. Maybe I got to... Let me make the case for 2 right off the
Please.
bat.
It's an unwinnable case, but I want to hear it.
That's what you think. That's what everyone thinks, but everyone is wrong. Here's why. This is what people forget. Season 1, you get drugs in Baltimore, and you get... It's not stereotypical, but the image of these black drug dealers is well within the imagination. It's done really, really well. That's not a shot at it. Yeah. It's done really, really, really well. Season 2, he's like, oh, you thought this was some black shit?
Fair.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah,
not. I mean,
I'm going
and it just
this way.
and quietly, it just flips. This is no. This is Baltimore, man. And as a person that grew up in Baltimore, I knew they were poor white people in Baltimore. I knew they were working class white people who had these problems. You didn't, see them in the same way, but to say no, this ain't just black folks. This is the system at large, and it's eating at everything.
Yeah.
I just thought that, when's the last time you saw white drug dealers, white urban drug dealers? When is that? Is there a character like Ziggy on? I've never seen that. I've never seen anything like that. It
needed season 2. The series as a whole desperately needed season 2 to exist.
It was a tremendous act of courage. So I just feel like from an ambition perspective, to say, what was selling that? Come on, you started with these cast of characters, and now you're saying you're going to completely flip it and put them on the back burner, and you're going to have white drug dealers?
Yeah. And shipping.
And shipping. Right, shipping. That's what this is going to be
docks.
about. Right, and docks. And the intricacies of the shipping
Yeah, I can only imagine
business.
the notes from HBO for that
Oh,
one.
my
Hey,
Lord. The only thing
those
I can,
charismatic black characters, can we bring those back?
the only thing I can think is that they were making the ratings were so low that gave them the shield to say,
Right,
okay,
they just
go
let
for
it happen.
Go for it. Do whatever you want. It's not like we're banking on you anyway.
Yeah, I can kind of see what he's saying now that we've, kind of gotten into the second season. It's like, yes, these people are working within this structure, and even the characters want to think they're different. Like when Ziggy, I hate Ziggy, but anyway, we can get into him. But when Ziggy's trying to get, what's the main young guy? You know who I'm talking about?
I forget that guy's name, but I know, the guy with the girlfriend.
Yeah. She wants to get a house and all that guy. He's like scoffing at, I don't want to get into drugs like those, N-words in the projects or whatever. And then it's like, let's go steal the thing full of cameras. Let's go. It's like, you're not really that different. You're still doing some large scale illegal things. It's like, just because it's one thing and not the other, it's not like you're not superior or whatever. But, even the people in it don't think that they're the same, but they are. So.
Yeah, it's Nicky. Is it Nick?
That sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah. I mean, these guys, they're in their own thing and stuff, and they're, again, I mean, they're involved in illegal stuff, but you see that that's kind of something that's been going on since way back, as far as, they know that, things used to fall off the dock when their uncle or their father was, working there too, but now he's in control, and so he's telling them, you can't do this stuff anymore, you stop it, I know you did this, and stuff. Don't ever do it, put it back. And they're like, but, they've been raised in this, this economy, this career field, and they know that this is the type of thing that goes on. And so, and you get the same sense as people like Wallace or something, somebody who's got a heart and is a good kid, basically. But, this is just his circumstance and stuff, and he doesn't really know anything else and stuff. And so he's in it for life, as it were, and stuff. And so you get a similar sense with these guys. So, yeah, season 2 is, it's a little bit different, but it's also equally a good season, I would say. But we gotta, Bob. We left it. Where did we leave it? Around episode 5, I think. No. We were further than that. We were right on the cusp of kind of the explosion of the. I think I made it to episode 9 actually, because we were saying wait till episode 10, and so I hadn't seen 10, 11, 12, or 13. So yeah, I left it with 4 to go. So.
Okay, so how about the ending? How about those last 4 episodes?
Where to begin? What do you want to talk about first? I mean, so much happened.
Yeah, well, it's been about a week or so since I've seen them, but I think obviously the big thing that was about to happen when you were waiting to watch that next episode was that Kima Griggs gets shot, right?
Right.
And you don't know what happens at the end of that episode. It really ends on a cliffhanger. She's been shot. The police can't find her. She's not responding on the radio. Orlando, the strip club owner, is dead in the car. And Weebay and Little Man have run away from the scene. So, yeah, and that, that's a, I don't know. I think that was kind of a wake-up call. That's kind of like, that's kind of like the big pussy moment in Sopranos where he gets whacked and people just were not expecting one of the main series characters to get killed in the second season. It's kind of like where the Game of Thrones, where Ned Stark gets beheaded and stuff, and you're like, wait, he was the main character. That's what the show was built around. What are you doing? Like, Kima Griggs is not the main character, but she's one of the top 5, I would say. In that season, so. And I think that episode was called, like, The Cost. So that, obviously, the cost of doing this kind of police work is that sometimes people get shot, right? So, and then in the next episode, we see the police response where, they're mad as hell, and it's kind of a full court press to get down there, lock down the scene, and do real police work to really track these people down and stuff, whoever did this and stuff. And
right. Well, they kind of have to make their move at that point, because it's like if once a cop gets shot, it's like kind of like all bets are off, and you kind of have to like put up or shut up at that point, because I mean now it's like there's literal skin in the game. So it's kind of, it's not just like, oh, will the wire keep going? Oh, I don't know, but it's kind of like, okay, now we need some results here, because somebody's been shot. So
yeah, well, I think one thing to think about too with this scene is that this is kind of a juxtaposition against what we usually see the homicide department doing, which is kind of like slow peddling cases and if I solve it, I solve it. If I don't, I don't. Baltimore's always going to be happening in Baltimore. Murder's always going to be happening in Baltimore, so it doesn't really matter. But now we're seeing like they're bringing all their resources to bear to solve this crime, and they do it all pretty much legitimately up until the point where Bunk goes and visits Kima in the hospital after she wakes up, and what did he say? He put the fat finger on the lineup photos, and he said, "Do you recognize like who shot you?" And he like taps the photo to show which one of them they know did it and stuff, or they suspect has done it, and Kima says, what did she say? She said, I saw a little man, but I didn't see Weebay, or I saw Weebay, but I didn't see little man, or something.
Right.
So she positively identifies one of them, but the other one, she says, I'm not going to, if you guys can catch him based on other evidence, then you got to do that. I think this one has to be like done legitimately or something. So, yeah. What did you think of that moment?
Was this when she gets shot?
Well, I mean, the part where Bunk is basically telling her, we know this is the guy who did it. We've got all this circumstantial evidence. If you can just identify him for us, and, that really strengthens our case against him, like makes it bulletproof and stuff. And she's like, no, sometimes it's got to play hard or something. She's like, I'm not gonna make this an easy conviction or something. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, it kind of shows that she's a solid, police officer in, a department filled with people who aren't that, invested in, actually, if they need to cut a few corners to get to the clearance rate or get a conviction, they're willing to do it. But, I think she's a little more rock solid than a lot of people that work there. So it kind of showed her mettle. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, like when that old drunk guy got punched by Brody or whatever, she was in there with all the other cops.
That's true.
Illegally wailing on the kid, basically.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
No, I that was a conundrum. Yeah, I agree. It was not her finest moment, but.
Yeah. Well, Brody didn't seem too disappointed or surprised by it, but
true.
I don't know. It seems to for these people that, as Omar might say, it's all part of the game or something. So
yeah, it's all in the game.
Not surprising or especially disappointing for anybody involved.
Definitely. But yeah, I thought that was obviously a kind of a catalyst for the final rest of the season. They kind of have to do the big bust at the house that they follow the guy back to who does the re-ups, and they've got to kind of put the screws to people and show some results at that point. So it's kind of like things kind of have to come to a head after that. So
yeah. One more thing regarding Kima. What about Bubbles? He was trying to get clean.
That killed me.
Give him the money the next day.
I hated that.
And then next thing you know, like he's paging her a pager, and they're like, "What?" You know, they bring him in and beat the shit out of him.
I know, it was horrible. I felt so bad for him, and then he started using again. Oh, so bad.
Yeah, and then Jimmy's like, "We need you to get back on those streets, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, but see, McNutty, I'm trying to do something here." And he's like, "Yeah, here's $50. Go out there, find out what they're up to now," or something. He's like, "Fuck, Bubs is back up, you know, on the wagon or off the wagon or whatever the hell you call it," because you know, Kima's dead. He's got his ass kicked by other cops for this and stuff, and now Jimmy's telling him to go back out and start using it again and giving him and putting the money in his hands.
Yeah, not so good.
That was obviously hard to watch. No, what about that Waylon guy? I think his name is Waylon. He's the
Waylon. You know who that is in real life, right?
No, who's that?
He is a country kind of heartland rock singer named Steve Earle. If you've ever heard, he's got a bunch of hits, mostly from like the late '80s. One of his most famous ones was Copperhead Road.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
Yeah, that's his song. But he actually, I don't know, I assume he's clean now, but he was a pretty heavy heroin user. So I think I don't think he has HIV or whatever, but I think his life kind of also mirrors the character in the show. So
yeah, he's an interesting character, and I think he'll be back in later seasons too. And you know, it's interesting because his speech at the Narcotics Anonymous meeting was, you know, it was inspirational. It was like, you know, he gave a no nonsense, no bullshit, just kind of like, you know, just very deadpan, very dry kind of speech, and it was good. And then like later when Bubs and Johnny see him over down in the pit trying to score, they think, and they're like, see, he's a hypocrite just like everybody else.
You mean when he's in the tester line, but he's actually just looking for his nephew or whatever?
Yeah, he's trying to get his nephew clean, and Bubs learns that, and he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's an interesting character. He's a solid actor too. I think he really plays the role well.
Yeah, I was impressed.
He brings some gravitas.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of. Anyways, we got to continue to watch Bubs. Bubs is also a favorite along the lines of an Omar, you know, in a different way.
Yep.
He's an iconic character, so he's gonna continue to have roles to play in future seasons here.
Yep.
What about? Okay, let me think about other things. What about Wallace? Okay, where's Wallace? Right.
That's one of the most gutting things. Ugh, I was just like, I'm done. This hurts. Ouch.
That was some fucked up shit, wasn't it?
I know, and it was his friend. It's his best friends too, man. Like he said, you know, it was like his, you know, whatever. It was the people that are closest to you. That's who they send at you. You know what I mean? But like they, you know, when you know, what's his name, Stringer Bell had the conversation in the car with
Brody.
Brody, and he's like, what are you built for this or whatever? And it's like he's telling him without telling him what to do, and that whole scene where he waits for him to come upstairs. You know what's gonna happen. You don't want it to happen. You know what's gotta happen. You hope the other guy intervenes. He doesn't. Then he kind of goads him on. You know, it's so bad. I mean, it was a great scene, but man, it hurt. And you know it had to happen, but
yeah, and I mean, it's a messed up and twisted. I mean, like, it's a fucked up thing. I mean, like, I think you had said that Wallace was kind of like the heart of the show, or
well, he was human. You know what I mean? All these guys pretending to be hard, and this doesn't affect you. And he's like, you know what? I'm a 16-year-old kid, and I'm not supposed to see a dismembered guy like on the hood of a car in front of my house, and supposed to be living in a vacant. You know, this is messed up. This world I'm living in, and he had a taste of not that world, so he knew that there could be a different way for his life. He still went back to it. That was his mistake. He should have stayed away. But you know. Yeah. Well,
and I think especially going back when he did. And also, I mean, the thing is, I mean, from a purely utilitarian perspective, I'm not even sure it was a bad move of Stringer to have him.
No, because honestly, it solved two problems at once, right? Because it got rid of Wallace, who was the weak link. He wasn't built for it. He's not about it. He was snitching to a degree, and you know, he wasn't really going to be a solid actor in this enterprise, and it solidified the other guy to him. Now he's killed his friend, so yeah, of course he's going to be loyal to him. What choice does he have? If he's not, that means nothing. And then where is he? So
yeah. Well, it's I mean, I think that's the important point, was that when he was strung out on heroin or cocaine or whatever, I think it was heroin.
I think it was heroin. Yeah.
He did get picked up, and the police took him in, and he did let some things slide, and so he had been cooperating. So, and when I don't know, he had gone down to like North Carolina or Virginia or somewhere and stay with his aunt or something like that.
I think it was grandma, but yeah.
But then he came back and he said, I'm from Baltimore. This is where I grew up. This is where I live. This is it for life for me. Now I'm ready to be in this thing and stuff.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if he would have kept cooperating. I don't know if he would have gone back to using, or if he was going to, get into it like Brody.
Yeah, could have gone either way. Yeah.
But some questions go unanswered. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want to take it, I don't know if you want to talk about D yet, but D kind of laid it out. When they were doing the interrogation, and he was talking to them about wanting to get out of the life and stuff. He was like, "Look, this is everybody I knew. I mean, even his mother. Man, his mother's scary, but she's kind of the representation of that kind of poisonous maternal spirit. That's like, she is looking out for him in a way." Yeah. But it's like she's also leading him right into the jaws of this stuff, and like she's like telling him he's got to take this time and he's got to stand up or whatever in prison. But it's like she's not actually thinking about what's best for him. It's really about what's best for her and the other people around her, because it's like everything goes away if you don't do this. But if she really cared about her son, she'd let him go away. I mean, wouldn't you want your kid to have a better life? I mean, she wouldn't have all the things that she has and the life she has, but come on,
Well, I mean, I think, okay, I mean, the thing is, her brother is Avon.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
Everybody they know is in this, and these are the people at the top of the food chain in their environment, right?
Yeah.
And they see the other people, poor people who are strung out on drugs, and I think she sees, if we're not, doing what we're doing here in this gang, then, the other alternatives in this community are not nearly as, they're not things that we want.
Yeah, it's like pimp or be pimped, basically, you know what I mean? And they'd rather be the pimps than the pimpy. So.
But yeah, when she comes to talk to D after he's already told McNulty that he's already proffered certain information to them, and I think the whole scene where he tells, okay, what about the tap 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 thing where he told the guys
so that was the truth, that it was actually Weebay, right?
Yeah, and
okay.
I guess he had just heard the story from Weebay, or he'd been there that night as a decoy or something, and Weebay had done the thing.
Mm-hmm. So really he was just trying to look hard in front of Poot and Wallace and all them when he told that story.
Especially Brody. I think Brody had come out of the... Brody had, was acting all hard after he ran away from the juvenile.
Right.
He's like, I just got out of prison for murdering you. He's like, yeah, you got the one. He's like, no, you don't know about the other one.
He's like, the one you know about.
Yeah. And so he was claiming Weebay's murder just to make himself seem hard. But then we find out, okay, he actually didn't do that. He didn't even know that was what was going to happen that night.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing about Weebay. I think I expressed my utter disgust for him after what happened with the stripper, but I did, against my own will, become very endeared to his fact that he's so into the fish.
He's a complex character.
Yeah, he's got sides to him. Yeah, I didn't like it. I was like, man, this guy is a monster. He's killing everybody. He's raping people to death while they're asleep. And what am I supposed to like about this guy? And then that scene where he takes D and D thinks he's gonna whack him or whatever, but it's really just to show him how to feed the fish. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe there is another side. And then when, not to get into season 2 too far, but when that one guard comes through and dumps his fish on the ground, he's like, no, it's just a motor in their back or whatever. He dumps it on the ground. He didn't have to mess with my fish like that. He didn't have to go there.
Yeah, Weebay is. I mean, I think he developed a hobby of collecting exotic fish with the money he brought in from this thing, and that's something he did. But yeah, I mean, the tension when he's bringing. They're cleaning up after they killed the Orlando, who was trying to do the other deals, and he ended up D'Angelo Barksdale was also with him on that deal. And so D'Angelo thought that he was going to get cleaned up too.
Yep.
And nothing that Wee-Bey or anybody else said reassured him that he wasn't. And he's like, get in here. Come on in here. What are you doing? You're wasting my time. Or something. He's like, he's got a gun and he knows he's going to get blasted. And then he turns on the lights and there's a bunch of fish tanks. He's like, okay, you gotta feed the fish while I'm away. I'm going to go to Philadelphia or something. And it's like, oh my God, woo, what a relief. And with D'Angelo, the scene where he's, proffering information to them and stuff, and he's got his lawyer, the woman there and stuff, and she's, making a good defense of him or whatever, but then she just keeps seeing all these photos of murdered people and stuff, and she realizes, and her face just kind of sours throughout that scene. She realizes, oh my God, this guy's a scumbag, and he's involved in some really dark shit, and I'm defending him here. And it's like, you get the sense that I think she did a good job in that scene of, just kind of transforming from a kind of a stoic lawyer to just oh my God, this guy is wrapped up in some really heavy stuff. And and so that was good. And then, and after that, after it looks like D'Angelo is totally ready to just give everything up, go into witness protection, turn in his uncle, turn in everybody. And then his mother comes, and I think when McNulty's leaving the jail or something, you see D'Angelo in the back, getting a hug from his mother. His mother's patting him on the back or something. And in any other movie or show, that would be a heartwarming scene, where the mother's supporting her son. But it has such a sinister undertone.
Oh yeah, sinister is the right word for it. Yeah, I mean, she makes my skin crawl. But she's a creature of that world. She lives in that world. She would be, like she said, this is what separates us from these other people, and we live on the top of the heap, and otherwise we'd be just like them. So she's basically given herself completely over to this, and that's your mother talking. I mean, it's anybody else, you wouldn't listen, but this is and then that one scene where she brings him the food or whatever, I question, because that's the first time you really see her, is when she, they're down in the pit, and she drives by and gives him that food, and she's like, oh, have a good day, sweetie. It's like he's going to school or something. It's does she know what he's doing? She seems happy about this. And then it's oh, well, she's more than happy about this. It's she's requiring that this is the way it is,
Yeah. Well, in later seasons, we're going to get more sense, and you get the sense that, well, I really don't want to give anything away, but we're going to, okay, let's just say these people, some of them have children, okay, and we're going to get to meet some of the children later and stuff. And in a way, we're going to get, because there's a part of this history of this story that we've missed, which is the, Avon and Stringer and their crew coming up, right? But we are basically going to get to see that happen again from the beginning, basically. And we're going to get to know these characters through different characters, basically. And I don't think I'm giving a lot away by saying that, but I'm really not giving much away. It's just, I mean, the process of watching it is a thing to behold in its own way. But I mean, we're going to see more about Wee-Bey. We're going to get to know a different side of Wee-Bey later too. Not that redeems him totally, but I don't know. It's
okay. Well, I have a question about Wee-Bey at the end of that season, right? So he takes the deal where he, instead of having the death penalty, because they know he killed, Orlando with Little Man, and he also has killed all these other people. He's just taking other murders.
Little Man after that.
What's that?
And he killed Little Man.
Oh, right, and he killed Little Man after that. But
although we don't.
Yeah,
we don't see that on screen, though.
Right, but he's already made a deal for that, right? So he thinks he can just take on any other murders that he wants, and he won't get any worse penalty than he's already gotten.
Well, they're giving him life with no parole, and they said they
said they won't do the death penalty because he's whatever. I don't know. Why did they say that again?
Well, it's pretty complicated, and frankly, I don't remember the details, but. Basically, obviously for the homicide department, it's a huge score because he's willing to cop to all kinds of murders, including, I think they said the Gant murder, they said that they were pretty sure that it was another guy who had done that who had already been killed.
Well, didn't Bunk say it doesn't even match up, where he said, he shot him and all this stuff, it doesn't even, match the evidence that they have? He's just taking things to take him or whatever?
Yeah, so he's taking, his lawyer advised him, anything that you don't cop to right now will be outside of the immunity deal, And so you could be prosecuted death penalty for any of those things. So you might as well just tell them everything right now. So he's like, okay, bring me some more food, bring me some more drinks, and I'll tell you some more. And then
I did like when they're like, we're out of, what did he say? They're out of, like, coleslaw, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, damn, I'm trying to get the best deal I can here, and I can't even get coleslaw. It's kind of, but that's the reality of that situation. You know, it's a time-sensitive thing. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's admitting to pretty much probably every murder that he's done, as well as some that other people in the crew have done that he can.
So is he just taking that for the good of the organization too? Like, is he just like, you know, I may as well just, you know, for the good of everybody, just take these murders off everyone else's plate?
Yeah, I think so.
But why is he so loyal then? It's not like he's ever going to get out, right?
Well, he's a soldier in that organization.
True. I mean, I guess he'll probably maybe get stuff in prison from the gang or something. They'll be able to send him stuff. I don't know, but
he'll get stuff in prison, and also his family outside will be taken.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So, and these are all things that we're gonna, you know, we're gonna come back to a lot of this stuff later because that's a good thing. Like, characters don't really disappear from this show unless they get killed, right? Like, I mean, they stick around and you see what happens with them, even if it doesn't really seem to be germane to the main plot or whatever at the moment. So.
Yeah. Well, was there anything else about season 1 you wanted to get into?
I'm trying to think. Did we have the part? What happened? There was a thing with Herc and Carver where they lost the money before.
Yeah, I love the scene where they're doing the raid, and they just have, because they had that big conundrum. It's, oh, they heard us on the wire say this much, and you didn't think about that, did you? And they thought about stealing it, but they knew they'd get caught, and then they lost the money, and then they found it, and then what's-his-name didn't believe him, but he still wanted it back by the morning, and it's like, you know, that was a big, like, 20-minute, like, arc that they had about that whole thing, and then, like, they literally do this raid, and, like, they just flip the mattress over, they're like, ready? And they like, yep, we're taking that. Like,
I love that. They just looked at each other and they're like, we're doing this now.
Oh, yeah.
This money is not going to be reported.
Nobody's counted this yet. Nobody knows it's here. Let's go.
We're the only ones in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herc and Carver. Oh, boy.
So, okay, I guess one more thing I wanted to talk about is that last kind of scene where we see where everyone goes, right? And we see that Carver, right, was the snitch for the higher-ups in the crew. Like, he told them what was going on in the crew. Like, they called him up secretly, and then he yeah, the detail, right? So he then looks like in season 2 got demoted. Is that right? He looks like he's back to like just being a street cop. Is that right?
I can't remember exactly.
Well, he's the one that's like papering all the cars and doing the DUI checkpoints and harassing all the dock workers and stuff for the Polish, you know, the guy that has the problem with the dock worker because of the stained glass window or whatever. No, well, it's not Presbelusi's uncle or, you know,
or father-in-law.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
that doesn't look like he did very well because I mean, obviously, Herc is, you know, he made sergeant, right? That's his thing. He got that promotion.
Yeah, and that was a hilarious thing because if we remember when they were studying for that exam, that test to get promoted, like Herc was just, you know, he was jerking off basically, and Carver was really studying, and then Carver doesn't pass it, and Herc does, and so it's kind of an ironic twist there, kind of a funny twist.
Yeah,
you know, Herc probably should not have been promoted.
No.
Carver, it's a questionable thing, but it probably would have been better with Carver than Herc. But yeah.
Well, okay, but going back to what I'm saying, like Carver, it looks like from what I see in the second season he doesn't seem to be in quite the same position as he was in the first season. In fact, he seems to be lower. I mean, maybe he's in charge of that, you know, group of people, but is that really? I mean, did he get promoted? No, or did he just go back to what he was doing before?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch these episodes to find out, to remember exactly what had happened with Carver.
Okay,
but Yeah, I mean, he's still got a role to play in the future.
Oh yeah, no, he's absolutely got a role to play. But I just wasn't clear if he if that helped or hurt him or what. But because I mean, what's his name gave him that big speech about you're gonna have to decide, what this job is or something when he finds out he's the snitch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the
what's his name?
Yeah, that was that guy's no nonsense.
I have to say, if we're gonna just jump to season 2 for a moment, at the end of episode 4, I don't know if you remember this scene, but it's after Kima tells her wife and he tells his wife that they're going back it. When they kind of flash back and forth the dinners that they're having. I love that scene. That was so good. Like you'd see they've just told them it's silent. There's no dialogue, but you can see they're kind of pensive, and the spouses are losing it. That's so good. Because it's when Kima said, it's and everybody knows this. If they get into it, she hears the music, she's gonna dance. Like she said, these people, they live for this, and if they get into this, they're gonna go all in. And and their spouses know that. And they want them to get out. Both of them have their own reasons, but Kima's spouse obviously wants her to be in the office and be a house cat or whatever, and not get out in the streets because of what happened. And then what's his name was gonna go. He was gonna go past the bar, or he was on his way out the door, because he got stuck in the basement or whatever. So, but then they you can make major, and you get a major's pension, and they dragged him back in. So.
Yeah, that was a good scene. They kind of juxtaposed the two families and stuff, and obviously, different reasons, different positions, different benefits, different costs and stuff, but similar reactions from their spouses. So
yeah. Oh, and I have one more question about the end of season 1. So remember that scene? Well, I guess I had a couple more, but so remember the scene where what's his name that does the furniture and got stuck in the pawn shop unit? Yeah. So he gives him that story about how he got stuck there and said, "Where don't you want to go?" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did Jimmy say that he did want to go to the boats or didn't? I couldn't remember if that was where he wanted to go or if that's where he didn't want to go.
The ironic thing is that when Lester Freeman gave him that speech, he had already told Jay Landsman, the fat guy at the homicide department, he'd already asked him, where don't you want to go? He's like, the only place I don't want to go is on the boats.
So he already told Landsman where he didn't want to go before that speech.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, he went to that guy's office. What was his name? You know what I'm talking about.
Landsman?
The guy above Landsman.
Rawls.
When Rawls brings him in the office, I want to see your land on your feet. Where don't you want to go? I thought he was going to do the thing that he told him to do and say the opposite of what he wanted, so that they would think they were, give him the bad detail, but really what he wanted. But they already knew he didn't want to go to the boats. You're saying?
Well, I don't know if Rawls knew it at that point. He may have been looking for confirmation from this guy, or I don't know if he said, well, I had him in my office and I asked him and he didn't tell me anything, so I don't know where to send it. And Landsman told him, well, he told me in the past that he doesn't want to go on the boat, so
I see.
You got to send him.
Okay.
So I imagine that's how it went down. But I'm
kind of getting that he doesn't want to be there, but I couldn't remember how that all shook out. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Lester gave him the advice, but it was too late.
It was too late.
Blabbed about where he didn't want to go to the wrong guy. So, yeah.
And it kind of shows because he doesn't even know how to do any knots, and he's always complaining about how cold it is, and he's always leaving to get drunk and stuff. So.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Yeah, this show, it's just and I think that's another one of the major themes. I don't know where I heard this, but one of the major themes that comes across is, it operates on so many levels, and some people have said it's more like a novel than a TV show. I think that's true. After you've seen the whole season, you realize there's a huge arc there. There are a lot of character arcs. There's a lot of stuff going on, deep stuff, funny stuff, tragic stuff, all this stuff, and so it works on the human level, but a major story within this thing is the effect, the kind of the corrosive or damaging effect, I think, of institutions on the individual, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's a drug gang or the police or whatever, the department, a dysfunctional department in a relatively dysfunctional city, the effect that has on these people who, sometimes they just want to do a good job. Sometimes they just want to skate by and not do a good job, or the effects of the drug gang on a family with the Barksdale family, or, kids basically who are working this thing and, where they're getting killed by their friends or having to kill their friends and stuff. I mean, so I think, and, the union you're going to see in the next season, and the dock workers and the all this stuff, the kind of post-industrial economy on an industrial community within a city. And so it's working on a very deep level as far as institutions versus individuals. And of course, it's also working on the level of kind of a love-hate letter to the city of Baltimore, basically. It's basically, I think every season pretty much ends with a music montage of different scenes from around the city of Baltimore, right? And I think season 1 had that, and I'm pretty sure that every season basically has that kind of at the conclusion. So, and I think one thing I've noticed is that oftentimes the penultimate, the second from the last episode, is usually the kind of the climax, and then the last episode is usually kind of just falling action, basically. So, those are some kind of some macro things to take note of, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, you said maybe you had some other questions or other thoughts about.
Well, kind of just a side point about. Sorry, what's the guy with the furniture's name again?
Lester Freeman, I think.
Lester Freeman, yeah. Do we see that stripper that he was with at the end again, or are they with each other now, or was that just kind of a fling or whatever?
Well, I don't want.
You don't want to say anything? Okay, don't say anything. Don't say anything. I just thought it was funny that one scene where, what's his name was like, remember who you are, and he's like, oh, protect and serve. I was like, well, we double entendre right there, I guess.
Yeah. Remember who you are, detective.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or the part where, what's her name? Perlman, I want to say, the prosecutor, the lawyer that Jimmy has had relations with. She comes into their office or something, and they've got this woman walking around the thing with her legs tied together,
right?
And she doesn't know what the hell they're doing. She's doing some kinky shit, and Herc has got this twig bent to snap or something in his hands, and he's biting it or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What the hell are you all doing?" And she doesn't realize that they're actually having her figure out how long one step is, so she can measure the, she doesn't know what they're actually doing something sort of, but
yeah.
But with regards to the stripper, again,
we're gonna see her again. Is all you're saying?
A lot of, characters in this show don't necessarily go away unless they have a reason to go away. Usually. So I don't want to, say anything this way or that way about that, but yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Any others?
I think that was it. Yeah, I just felt really bad at the end of the first season. It was just
good.
Yeah, I felt horrible.
Yeah, this is prestige television, Bob. Welcome. We made it. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. Well, as long as that's what's supposed to happen. Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess I have some follow-up questions for you, too, because, you had repeatedly had trouble getting into the show, and now that you've seen it through the first season, would you say you're in for the duration, basically?
I've got to finish it now. Yeah, sure.
You see the characterization, the story, the levels it's working on, the scope, the range, the arcs, everything like that. And how would you say it stacks up against other shows? Again, you can't really compare one season of one show to 7 or 9 seasons of another show.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not ready to make a final judgment or whatever. I'm still kind of feeling it out, but I think it's definitely up there. I don't know. It's the lesson I took from, like I said, I just felt bad at the end of the first season because it just feels like, okay, this is basically the world is unfair and it's designed to be unfair. And then anyone that tries to show any tenderness or humanity or try to go against it to make a positive change in any way is going to be beaten back down with a quickness, and it's going to hurt them in every way possible. And you just, you basically have to work within whatever system, and you're kind of in a prison, even if you're not actually in jail. Like, it's like that's the, lesson I took away from the first season. So, and that's a pretty heavy statement, and, probably true, but man, it didn't make me feel good or hopeful or like, anything you do in this life actually matters. It's like, okay, well, I guess you can squirm around and try to do what you want, but, there's still going to be, Omar's still going to be there, robbing you for your stash, there's still going to be, all these things are still in place, and nothing changes, nothing matters. So, and I didn't feel good about that. I felt like it made the point very well. I feel like The Sopranos is still more fun somehow. Like, it's still like, I feel like I'm a little more detached. It seems a little more, I don't want to say cartoony, but, like when they're in the back of the strip club, and they're talking about stuff, it does almost feel like Barney Rubble and like, the cavemen and the moose, you know what I mean? It's kind of cartoony, and, it's a little more detached from reality, even though it's like super gritty and realistic. I don't feel, I feel like this is like real life, this is like how it actually happens, and, maybe that's better storytelling wise, but man, it grinds you to a pulp.
Yeah. Well, I think The Sopranos, like going back and because that's the great thing about this show too, is that you go back and you rewatch other shows with a different perspective in some ways. Because before I saw this, The Sopranos was the darkest, grittiest, most hardcore criminal TV show that I ever seen and stuff. But when I went back and rewatched The Sopranos, I really appreciated how much humor there was in The Sopranos because basically I think David Chase has said that basically every line he has the criminals ever say in The Sopranos is the opposite of whatever is morally right or correct or true. Mm-hmm. They lie to themselves, they lie to each other, they lie to their family, they lie about everything, literally, basically.
Yeah.
And that's funny. It's ironic in a way, and it's interesting to watch, but it's also not necessarily true. I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Mm-hmm. And I do think like the Wire, I don't know, The Wire is a little bit melodramatic at times, I guess, because I think like, everybody is just so witty in such a kind of down home kind of way, not down home like country style, but like, down home, police in Baltimore or, hood type people or something like they have this kind of, they all have their own kind of wisdom or something, and I don't think that's necessarily true everybody either. I think like most of the things that most people say throughout the day on a given day are not that wise. But everybody's dropping wisdom nonstop on The Wire.
Right.
But, this guy, he's got a chance to make his show and to make his points, and so he's so I guess for both of those shows that would be my criticism of the realism of dialogue and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, and absolutely. And I think like David Chase, having been a reporter in Baltimore, he's seen the reality of this up close. So when it came...
David Chase?
No, sorry. David Simon, right?
Yeah.
David Simon had been a reporter in Baltimore before this, so it's like he's seen the real people. So when he has a chance to make, a fictionalized version, I feel like everybody's got to stand for something. They've got to represent some element of the city or a group of people or amalgamation that he wants to like portray or get a point across. So you're right. I think that's like everything is very freighted with meaning, and you're right. I mean, people can go back and listen to our podcast. We're not always as witty as we'd like to be in every moment, because we're not having to be ciphers for entire. Well, okay, fine, you, but most people on the podcast are.
Yeah, the other people.
Yeah, the others.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, yeah. It's true. Like sometimes I cringe or whatever when I hear myself or whatever, but like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah. Sometimes I forget because it's like a 3-hour conversation. I forget what I said, but I hear what you said, what the buildup is, and I think this is what I should say, and then I say it, and that's what I said. And I'm like, yes, that's like,
good job, high five, former me.
That was the right punchline, or that was the right direction to go with that.
Yeah,
I think. Although sometimes I notice like I say like a lot. I say, I say these things like I've got some verbal tics that I'm not very cognizant of. So.
Sure. We all do. And yeah, if you want to really get in there, transcribe your own voice or edit your own voice for several hours, you really get a chance to get intimate with that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. I mean, you hear people like on the news or whatever, people they have a show or something, like you hear that they've gone to some sort of like a kind of a finishing school or some sort of a school where they've had some sort of public speaking training.
Media training, right.
And I'm fascinated by that. I'm sure it's expensive and stuff. I'm just curious about that. Like, what kind of stuff do they teach you to be able to do? Because these people are so eloquent and stuff, right? Like, if I were on MSNBC, I'd be a nervous wreck. I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
You know? But these people speak eloquently and stuff, and so I'm like, man, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's usually people with something to promote that know they're going to ask the same questions a million times, so they can really like have a canned answer that's really eloquent and quotable, and all that. So.
Yeah. I think that. Well, I think that was part of the original vision of this show. From what you had a vision of the show, and I had some contributions that I made one night and stuff about, just the realness, the lengthy conversation, not the 5-second soundbite, the 30-second, spot on the show and stuff, moving on. We've got to leave it there, this kind of stuff that you see on TV and stuff. But not to have that was, I think, something that was desirable, but also in a way inevitable, I think. So. Yeah. Anyway, so The Wire. Yeah, it's any word on if Ash might be interested in watching it along?
She watched with me before, and she'll like be working on other stuff when I'm watching, and like she'll randomly ask, like when what's his name, Dee's mom goes to visit Avon in prison, she was like, and she hadn't watched for like a couple episodes, and she was like, now what's happening here? And I like audibly sighed before I answered, and I was like, I can't. It's gonna take. Let me just pause here and talk to you for about 25 minutes so I can like partially catch you up on what's happened.
Yeah, I know you guys have got a situation with your.
Well, it's like the part of the problem is that we only have like one time a day to like actually work on or watch our own stuff. So it's usually at the very end of the day after the kids have already been put to bed, and usually that's the only time I get to watch The Wire. And if Ash has anything else she wants to work on besides wrangling the kids, she's got to do it then. So unless she's like going to be fully committed and watch this, it's not the kind of thing you can half watch. So
yeah. Well, I hope that she will. I hope that if you guys go back and try to, watch from the beginning with her or something, like I hope she can give it a real go. And yeah, because I think it's. I'm sure by the end of season 5, you'll be the number one proselytizer for the show, anyway. So I'm not really worried about it right now, but. But yeah, and like I said, we've got politics coming up. We've got school systems in Baltimore coming up. We've got the news media, the print media.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
These are all things that I think that you're going to be fascinated by as well. These are interests that I know you have. So
right.
That's the thing that really confounds me, that you haven't actually gone through this show before.
No, pretty much every hard-bitten reporter around my age has already like absorbed this and quoted lines and been disappointed as you are with me not having seen it. So
yeah, well, we're rectifying it.
Oh yeah, we're doing that. But well, I probably ought to get going here. But any final thoughts on these episodes before we? I can probably actually. I don't know when the next time you can talk. You said maybe next week, same time, or so. Yeah,
possibly so.
Okay.
I think we'll have next Wednesday off too. So I'm gonna, this week I'm gonna put in some work on season 2, and I'm gonna see how far I can get in it. I may finish the season, or I may not. I'm really not sure. But
yeah, I may be in the same boat. But yeah, I'm gonna try to push and try to get as close as I can to finishing the second season. But
yeah, it's a show. It's a hell of a show.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully our listeners have either seen it or they're watching along with us. I hope we didn't spoil anything for anybody too badly.
But
yeah, all right. Well, we'll talk again here next week. I'm gonna, possibly this weekend. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just see how far we get and everything. But yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, yeah. Good talk, Bob. Glad you finished season 1. Glad you're well into season 2 already. So I don't have to have any compunctions about moving forward.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. So.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
And Michael Wolff, we're still coming for you.
Yeah. Michael Wolff. It's on the back burner. There's some comment here about the stupidification of our generation or something, moving from books to television. But we've got such goddamn good television. Right?
That's right. We got that, if nothing else, right? So
yeah. We're not watching Friends with a laugh track here. Come on.
Absolutely. All right, well, take it easy, Charles. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, yeah. Talk to you later, bud.
Later.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoy this podcast, there are several ways to support it. Join the Rob Burgess Show mailing list. Go to tinyletter.com/The Rob Burgess Show and type in your email address. Then respond to the automatic message. I have a Patreon account which can be found at patreon.com/Rob Burgess Show Patreon. I hope you'll consider supporting in any amount. Also, please make sure to comment, follow, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review everywhere the podcast is available, including iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Facebook, Twitter, Internet Archive, TuneIn, and RSS. The official website for the podcast is www.therobburgessshow.com. You can find out more about me by visiting my website, www.thisburgess.com. And if you have something to say, record a voice memo on your smartphone and send it to therobburgessshow@gmail.com. Include voice memo in the subject line of the email. Until next time.